Okay, welcome to week 4. And let me just tell you, next week is week 5. And next week, all you do is take the midterm. That is it. So next week is a very light week. This week is not a light week, but you guys are doing amazing. You're getting the work in. You're turning in brilliant work. It's very impressive. Keep going. So this week, you're going to read chapter 6. Then you are going to do the politics. You're going to do the chapter 6, week 4, public opinion assignment. So public opinion is defined in our text. You'll provide that definition. You're also looking at political socialization. That is, how do we, as children, our worldview is immediately starting. It immediately is shaped by our parents, our family, our environment. So that impacts how we view our politics and how we vote. So you're looking at political socialization. Read about that in chapter 6. Then you're going to find a presidential poll. For 2028, we're already looking at the candidates. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, recently started a podcast. It is highly suspected that that is in preparation to running for president in 2028. Find a poll. All politics can be found in polls. So go through the exercise. Also, our governor here in Colorado, if you don't live in Colorado, if you live in another state, find out, you can still do the exercise. Is your governor up for re-election soon? Find out. Our governor in Colorado is term limited, so we're going to have a new one. Who's running? I want you to look at that. And also, you're going to tell me what is margin of error. And by that, I don't mean the percentage. I mean, you're going to include that in your poll. Always there's a margin of error, but I want you to tell me what that means to the reading of the poll. All right, and then you have a second assignment. Then you're going to read chapter 8, the media, and you're going to learn about the media. So we have the First Amendment, and it protects the freedom of the press. That's the media. And I should add in here to read the First Amendment. Dang it, I didn't. But read the First Amendment to the Constitution. It's very short. It's a paragraph. And it protects many things. One of them is the freedom of the press. We see why that is important in the Watergate scandal and the Vietnam scandal. So there was a man, his name was Daniel Ellsberg. He had served in the military and he was an analyst. He was brilliant. He analyzed things. So he worked on a 7,000-page history of the United States involvement in Vietnam. And he started leaking it, first to the New York Times, then to 17 other newspapers. And why did he do that? He did that because in the 1970s, that is how people largely consumed their news. They read the newspaper. So maybe you had grandparents who read the newspaper, paper copy in your hand has a crossword puzzle. Today, sometimes Sudoku puzzle, but they would read the newspaper. And so what Daniel Ellsberg understood, because of his military training and also his education, he understood how our government is designed to work. And how it's designed to work is for us, the electorate, to know what's going on. And then we express our approval through keeping certain people who are already in office, or voting them out. And he wanted the Vietnam War to end. So he leaked the Pentagon Papers, portions of it. Nobody's going to read 7,000 pages. He did. He's one of the only people to have read all 7,000 pages. But he leaked pertinent portions so that the American electorate could learn what was happening and demand change from their elected representatives. The government works for us, for the people, of the people, by the people. That's out of order, but that's how the government works. So you're going to learn about the Pentagon Papers. You're going to learn about the New York Times. Nixon was very mad. He wanted to censor the press, of course. He wanted to do whatever he wanted to do with no repercussions. And if nobody knows what's going on, there can be no repercussions. So you're looking at that. Then you're also looking at something we had in place for almost 40 years, the Fairness Doctrine. When television started to surpass radio, there was a concern at the FCC about the dissemination of information, and they worried that information could be manipulated by telling only one side of the story, leaving out coverage of important news items. So they wanted to protect the Americans from this manipulation. So they have the Fairness Doctrine. It was upheld by the Supreme Court in 1969 in the Red Lion case. But in 1987, it was repealed. And that's because it was violating the First Amendment, right? Freedom of the press. The press should only have to tell what they want to tell. If they don't want to tell the whole story, that's their right to do. If they want to tell only one side of the story, that's their right to do. It's our responsibility, though, as citizens of this country, to find the other side, to be informed. And that's why you always have to be consuming news from more than one source. That helps you get a whole picture. If you have two friends and they get in a fight, there's going to be friend A's story, friend B's story, and if they have an ounce of integrity, the truth is going to be somewhere in the middle. If they're lying, good luck to you. But the more information you have, the more you can discern what's going on. And that's your responsibility as a citizen of this country. So that's this week. You have two assignments. You're reading chapter 6, you're reading chapter 8, you're completing the public opinion assignment, and you're completing the media assignment. And just hold on, because next week, all you have, there is no reading next week. It is just the midterm. So hold on, because rest is coming. You can do this. Reach out with questions. If you have questions that need an immediate answer, please text me. That's the fastest way to get quick turnaround. My text or my cell phone is in the syllabus. All right. Have a great week.